July 11, 2025. In the pitch-black night off the coast of Oman, 17 Iranian-made suicide drones crashed into the Atlas 47, a massive U.S. offshore drilling platform that powers the entire U.S. military. Flying just meters above the water, they glided through radar blind spots with deadly precision. In less than 4 minutes, fire had engulfed the rig. An explosion ripped through the pressurized jet fuel tank. Another destroyed the data relay center. Secondary explosions followed, leaving the rig almost completely destroyed. 8 engineers were killed. Systems were irreparably damaged, but Iran had miscalculated. It thought it had hit an easy target, and now it would pay the price. Moments later, the U.S. Bombay doors opened in the Nevada desert. 2 B-2 Spirit bombers armed with GBU-57 bunker buster bombs. 4 F-35C jets armed with missiles. 20 MQ-25 drones jamming radar. Tomahawk missiles thundering from U.S. warships. This is not a warning. This is outrage. Come with me and explore what happens when the fuel that fuels American freedom is destroyed. 3:47 a.m. July 11, 2025. Quiet night in the Arabian Sea. Waves lap gently at the base of the Atlas 47 oil rig. A towering behemoth 112 nautical miles off the coast of the UAE. But beneath its rumbling rigs and flashing lights lay more than crude oil. Atlas 47 was the beating heart of America's naval power supply in the region. A fortress disguised as infrastructure. What most thought was just another offshore rig was actually a Tier 1 strategic asset. It housed 134 engineers, a mix of civilian and military specialists working in 12-hour shifts, along with 48 heavily armed U.S. Marines tasked with protecting what was officially classified as a Tier 3 energy transition platform. But offstage, the Atlas 47 powered the invisible, the fuel lines for F-35s, B-2S, and the radar feeds for the stealthy UAVs guarding the Arabian corridor. At exactly 0347, radar operators inside the Atlas's security control room caught a flash of light and then went silent. Within 18 seconds, 17 Iranian-made suicide drones had crossed the dead zone at low altitude, flying below radar range. 6 were intercepted by the rig's Phalanx CIWS and 25mm Auto cannons, but the rest got through. 3 exploded on impact. 1 crashed into Tank 2G, a high-press fuel tank holding 1.22 million gallons of JP-8 jet fuel. A second set fire to the auxiliary generator shaft. A third ripped through the outer shell of the control tower. The explosion rocked the rig. Flame shot 12 meters high. The shockwave shattered bulletproof glass. 8 engineers were killed instantly. 17 others were seriously injured. Black smoke billowed across the horizon as deck sirens wailed across the platform. And in that instant, everything changed. Iran didn't just hit steel and fuel. They severed a vein connected to America's warfighting nervous system. Atlas 47 wasn't just a rig. It was the central uplink node for a $9.2 billion combat logistics web linking 3 aircraft carriers, over 70 stealth aircraft, and 12 satellite-controlled drone corridors across the Middle East. Every 11 minutes, Atlas transmitted encrypted trajectory packets to airborne MQ-25 Stingray drones, coordinating real-time targeting data for naval strikes in Yemen, Syria, and the Red Sea. That flow cut. More than that, it was the only forward-deployed node capable of cold start fueling for long-range B-2A bombers without requiring carrier landings. With Atlas offline, over 43 scheduled strike missions were immediately aborted. The skies went dark. And perhaps most terrifying, internal damage assessments revealed that one of the Iranian UAVs struck a level 4 vault, a space known to house autonomous navigation chips for prototype hypersonic drones. If that hardware is recovered or reverse Engineered by Tyran, the consequences could leap continents. At 4:12 a.m., U.S. Cyber Command issued a red-level breach alert, the first of its kind since the Chinese data theft from the F-35 program in 2007. This wasn't just a blow to American energy. It was a national security breach on a generational scale. And while Iran may have celebrated the smoke rising off Atlas, they had no idea what was already being loaded onto the wings of American bombers. The question now is not whether America will respond, but how far it is willing to go. What would you do if you were in charge? Let me know what you think and join me in the U.S. military's decision. 4:31 a.m. Within 44 minutes of the attack on Atlas 47, the order came down from the top. 2 words, Iron Hammer, a directive to deploy every tool in America's regional kill chain. No debate, no delay. At the center of the operation was Rear Admiral Christopher W. Grady, commander of Carrier Strike Group 9. His mission was clear. Disable Iran's launch source, eliminate all UAV production capabilities within a 100 meters radius, and recover or destroy any compromised American components. In military terms, it was classified as a Tier 1 strategic disabling strike. In reality, it would be something far more devastating. Launch platform. USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier ever built. From the deck, 4 F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters roared into the sky, armed with a GM-158 JSM cruise missiles and a NASQ-239 electronic warfare suites. Their mission to penetrate Iranian airspace undetected, blind local radars, and clear the court. From Diego Garcia, more than 2,000 miles away, 2B-2A Spirit stealth bombers took off in complete radio silence. Their payload, 5,300 pounds GBU-57AB. Massive ordnance penetrator bombs designed to decimate bunker-busting structures up to 200 feet underground. Destination, the Sheikh Karimi UAV complex, Iran's most secretive and fortified drone facility. Supporting the attack were 20 MQ-25 Stingray drones launched in the first wave. Their role disrupting Iranian communications with encrypted jamming, providing real-time thermal imaging to the battle network, acting as decoys to trigger Iranian air defenses before the actual attack aircraft arrived. Meanwhile, on the USS Higgins and USS Thomas Hudner, vertical launch systems crackled. Within seconds, 24 Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles were airborne, hurtling east at 550 mafar, programmed to destroy 4 separate radar stations and an underground data station. Around Sheikh Karimi, across the network, American satellites were tuned in. KH-1, 2 reconnaissance planes soared into the target area. RC-135 rivet joints and E-2D Hawkeyes locked onto Iranian radar frequencies, updating target data every 6 seconds. Everything was moving, but no one spoke. Iron Hammer was not a warning. It was a message written in speed, precision, and silence. And in less than an hour, that message would arrive in Yazd, Iran, signed in steel and fire. Before coming to the attack of the United States, please support us by liking and subscribing to the channel. Now join me to witness the power of the hammer. Though 5:39 a.m. Thrawn time, Yaz was still asleep. The desert was silent. No radar alerts, no loud noises. But at 60,000 feet, the American fury had arrived. It had started with silence. 2B-2A Spirit bombers launched nearly 4 hours earlier from Diego Garcia had entered Iranian airspace in a completely stealthy configuration. No radar could detect them. No defense system could react in time. They carried 4 massive GBU-57AB armor-piercing bombs, each designed to destroy the deepest, most fortified targets on Earth. Meanwhile, 20 MQ-25 Stingray drones, launched from the aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, swarmed the area around the Sheikh Karimi UAV complex, a facility long denied by Thrawn, but now slated for destruction. Their mission was clear: jamming every active Iranian radar within a 50 mi radius using the ALQ-248, broadcasting live thermal video back to U.S. Central Command, triggering air defenses with decoy salvos, burning off enemy munitions before the real force arrived. At 5:42 a.m., the Iranian SAM sites opened fire, wasting dozens of missiles on phantom targets. They never saw what happened next. 4 F-35C Lightning, 2 fighter jets flying at ground level, penetrated the radar gap, each launched in a GM-158 JSM. Missile targeting ground infrastructure, fuel tanks, transponder towers, and drone calibration pads. Seconds later, 05:44 a.m., the B-2 South released their bombs. 2 GBU-57ABs were dropped from above, accelerated by gravity and guidance to more than 750 Mach, and drilled deep into the ground. Their target, a hardened drone development bunker buried 180 feet under reinforced concrete and rock. The impact was immediate and devastating. A 3.8 magnitude earthquake was recorded across central Iran. Fire erupted from the ground like a volcano. A chain reaction destroyed the fuel tanks, warheads, and batteries. 9 secondary explosions followed, including one that propelled a 18-feet-long drone wing, more than 1/300th foot into the air before it crashed in flames. Satellites watching from orbit recorded the entire compound disintegrating in less than 12 minutes. And it wasn't over yet. From 500 meters offshore, the USS Thomas Hudner launched its final salvo. 12 Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles aimed directly at Sheikh Karimi's underground data warehouse. The warheads penetrated the waterline, bypassing reinforced decoys, and vaporized the coding center that controlled the Iranian UAV fleet. Finally, U.S. Marines from CH-53E helicopters quickly entered the smoldering area. In just 16 minutes, they had taken 6 buildings, captured 2 Iranian technicians, and recovered a damaged but intact tracking chip from a test drone. By 6:08 a.m., it was all over. Iran's most advanced drone base was gone. And just like that, the world's second-largest UAV arsenal had lost its brain, cut out with pinpoint American precision. 6:08 a.m., the last CH-53 helicopters lifted off from the smoldering shell of Sheikh Karimi. The operation was complete. No further strikes were needed. No warnings were issued because nothing more needed to be said. In just 42 minutes, the United States had launched a coordinated assault involving stealth bombers, 5th-generation fighters, drones, cruise missiles, electronic warfare, and special forces, all to neutralize one target. And the results were unmistakable. The most fortified UAV base in Iran had been annihilated. $1.2 billion in assets gone. 47 long-range drones, 12 encrypted AI navigation modules, and the core of Iran's autonomous weapons research, all vaporized. But beyond the tactical success, the operation had achieved something deeper. It had redefined what American deterrence looks like in the modern era. At the Pentagon, Rear Admiral Jack Monroe stood before a digital map where Sheikh Karimi used to be and said only this: "We didn't strike back because of what they destroyed. We struck because of what they threatened." That is the difference between retaliation and doctrine. The global response was instant. NATO silent, but internally aligned. Arab Gulf states supportive, calling it a defensive reset. Russia and China cautious, issuing neutral statements, unwilling to defend Iran openly. UN Security Council convened an emergency session, but took no formal action. Because beneath the political theater, everyone understood the core message. Touch the lifeline of American power, and you awaken the full spectrum of U.S. military force. Without warning, without negotiation. Many questioned, why did America go that far over a rig? Because Atlas 47 wasn't just steel and scaffolding. It was a forward fuel and data transfer node for stealth bombers, F-35 squadrons, and drone warfare corridors. 1.7 million gallons of military-grade JP-8 fuel moved through it monthly. It processed over 6,000 targeting uplinks per day to platforms. Across the Middle East, its encryption vault linked directly to carrier strike groups in 2 oceans. Losing Atlas wasn't a loss in energy. It was a breach in the command architecture of American warfighting. And Iran learned that the hard way. To every rogue actor watching, the U.S. delivered this truth. We do not draw red lines. We enforce them. We do not threaten. We act. And when we act, you do not get second chances. Operation Iron Hammer wasn't just a retaliation. It was a blueprint, a doctrine, a fire-carved reminder that logistics is not weakness. It is power. And that wherever the American flag flies, it is never alone. There are moments in history when diplomacy stalls, when warnings are ignored, and when a line, however invisible, is crossed. The attack on Atlas 47 wasn't just an act of aggression. It was a test, a probe against the boundaries of U.S. power, a challenge to the systems we rely on, not only to fight wars, but to prevent them. Iran believed it could strike America's lifeline and walk away. What followed wasn't just a response. It was a revelation. Operation Iron Hammer wasn't announced at a podium. It didn't unfold on a television screen. It came quietly, it came quickly. And it came with the full weight of modern American warfare. Drones, bombers, stealth jets, satellite, command, special operations, all converging in a single moment of absolute consequence. In less than an hour, the United States not only destroyed a facility, it sent a message carved into the earth beneath Yazd. We see farther, we strike faster, we finish what others start. For those watching from afar, whether in bunkers, boardrooms, or war rooms, the lesson was simple. The American flag is not a soft target. It is a symbol of reach, resolve, and readiness. And to the men and women who serve beneath it, on ocean platforms, in desert outposts, and behind encrypted terminals, you are not alone. Because in a world full of shadows, America still answers with light. And when that light turns to fire, the world takes notice. In a world on edge, staying informed is a form of defense.